there he is.
Yeah, he's on the screen. Oh, oh, Fran, you're there. Fran, can you speak up to make sure we can hear you?
Madam Chair, you may want to reconvene the meeting.
Yeah, I was going to, but I wanted to make sure we could hear him. So, all right, I'm going to reconvene the meeting at 8 p.m. Attorney Teodoso has joined us. Attorney Teodoso, could you identify yourself, please? Can't
I
hear
don't
us.
think you can hear us.
I know, I don't see the mute thing on.
I don't either.
His mic might not be on.
Yeah. I can send him a text. I think. Let's see.
If his computer doesn't have a mic, he might be able to just call in at the number of this Zoom meeting so we can have him by voice.
Yes, he can. Yep.
Can you hear us? Oh, okay. Give it a shot. Okay, I have you on speaker on my phone. And can you hear?
I can hear.
Okay, so I have my phone up against my speaker. Elaine, I'm gonna give you the floor. You are the one that wanted, go ahead and explain this because I have my hands in 10 different places here.
Okay, we had a discussion about this apartment development, about the affordable units, and we talked about the developer last week was offering that he would only put affordable tenants in studio apartments. What we would rather see is that all the units have both a market rate and an affordable rate, and then as tenants who qualify for affordable housing find a vacant apartment, they would be eligible for any type of apartment in this complex. Does that make sense to everybody?
That's available.
Yeah.
All right, Attorney Teodoso, did you hear that?
I heard essentially a statement / question as to whether or not you can impose on all of the units an affordable overlay. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, we just want to make sure that any apartment is available as an affordable unit if it becomes available.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Rossetti, is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. So do we need to include that in the resolution?
Or can we?
Or can we?
There's some question about whether that's something we can require.
Perhaps if Tony reads his
I
resolution.
understand that you want the ability to essentially spread the affordable over any units, but I'm not, and I apologize, I'm into this fresh. I mean, how many units are we proposing? How many units are being designated affordable?
47 total units, 6 affordable out of the 47.
Okay, so is the question they built the 46 and how how 6 of them become
No,
affordable?
no. Any apartment of the 47 could be an affordable unit,
Regardless of the unit type.
regardless of the unit type. In other words, it wouldn't be just available in the studio apartments, which I think is what had been proposed,
Correct.
as vacancies occur.
Yeah, we have bedrooms, we have studios, bedrooms, and bedrooms plus.
Okay, but this is my question to you. How many studio apartments are there?
9.
9 out of 47.
So you've got a project with 6. You're saying that you want the units to become, I'm not disagreeing, I'm just trying to understand the pragmatics.
Mhm.
You say that you want 6 of those units available as affordable as they come online. Is that what you're saying?
Saying
No,
any apartment that's vacant would have either a market price attached to it or an affordable price. All of the apartments would have a market price and an affordable price.
Mhm.
So as vacancies occur and there are tenants coming looking for an apartment, if they qualify for affordable and they want the 1-bedroom that's vacant, they would get it at the affordable price. Does that make sense to everybody, how I'm saying that?
And there could be a case where there's someone that wants the bedroom plus.
Any of the
Yeah.
units, if it's vacant and they qualify, that there would be an affordable price attached to all of the units.
So Tony came up with a statement, and we don't know if it's appropriate to put this in the resolution.
you want me to-
What's the statement say?
Go ahead, Tony.
well, this is very rough, but I think fulfilling the commission's intent, what they'd like to say is that notwithstanding the Connecticut general statutes, the commission hereby mandates that all units have a predetermined affordable rent versus a market rent. And any such unit, if vacant and available, be rented as on request as an affordable unit within the maximum limit of 6 affordable units.
Okay, I
Cumbersome.
have 2 concerns. The first is you're all talking as though the facility has been full,
Mhm.
okay? But how do you effectuate that statement as the affordable units come online? Not affordable, as the units come online. I mean, you could have a situation where the construction occurs sequentially, or the construction occurs in 10 units are available at the same time. I'm not understanding what we're doing to occupy the units immediately. Are you saying the first 6 people that apply to whatever those 10 units are, if they're affordable, then all those units become affordable?
I think we're talking about the finished project with 47 units. Because it would never be 60%. We would never be requiring 60% of the units be affordable. Like the first, if you're saying as construction is occurring, I don't think that's what we have in mind at all. I certainly don't.
So I think what Fran's point though is the ratio of as units become available,
Right.
who's to dictate that all of them, the first 6 aren't rented out as affordable units. So by doing the math, this is roughly a 12% ratio. So I think it would be fair to require that ratio be maintained as units become available. Just a thought.
Makes sense to me.
Well, that's how, you mean during the initial rent up.
Correct.
Mhm.
Once you've achieved rent up, then that ratio goes away,
Correct. But Fran
Right.
was just bringing
Right,
up the point.
okay?
But
Yeah.
when they're coming out of the box, as I call it, you have a circumstance where you could have 6 units affordable and none market rate.
Well, if you conclude that
First 6
percentage,
people come in, and I don't think that that's what you want to do.
No, we just in the grand scheme of things, we don't want anyone to be shut out of an apartment that they want in a category that they want. They should be every unit
No,
that's
that's
available should be
just-
available to them.
That's just a temporary condition over the period of initial occupancy. And I think we can
Correct.
cover that. We can cover that with an additional sentence that says, during initial occupancy, at no time will the developer be required to rent more than 12% of his units to affordable housing. but when all is said and done, he's got to have his 12% filled. So if he only brings 12 units online at one time, excuse me, if he only brought one floor on at a time, he only has to assign 12% of that units on that floor for affordable. That's initial occupancy now.
Correct.
Once it's completely filled, that floor by floor allocation goes away. And if an affordable unit is vacated and you don't have an affordable family that fits it, he should be free to rent it as a non-affordable unit, providing he takes the next vacant one and makes that available as affordable. Everything's in a state of flux.
That's right.
And then we have to.
But they should be able to regulate that. Because there's an application process, there's a whole process that the prospective tenants have to go through. It's got to be posted, I believe, in the newspaper that this project is coming online, and there's income levels. So they'll be aware of.
But you need to. You need to protect the developer a
They'll
little bit.
get a waiting list going.
If there is a waiting list of affordable units and he has not yet developed a waiting list on market rate units, are you going to expect him to take the first 6 people and put them into wherever they want to go in affordable units?
I wouldn't. I mean, I think that you made the point that percentage can maintain the percentage.
Yeah, that's the only fair way to do it.
I agree. I think you got to maintain some kind of a percentage.
Right. I calculated it too. It's 12%. So
it's 50% vacancy of the if it's 50% occupancy of the building, then 50% of his affordable units need to be satisfied some way.
So it would be 3.
That sounds good.
At that point.
Yeah, it's going to be done in stages because
that's something we put into a zoning decision. I think that goes into an administrative manual somewhere.
Yeah, but in this case, they're not going to get a CO until all the apartments are finished. They're not going to get a CO for just the first floor.
They might.
Correct?
They might.
You think?
Depends on, I don't know. I would not expect that to be true, but it might be.
I don't know. I've never heard that be happening before.
Mr. Rossetti, what happened on Old Bridgeport Avenue, Mr. Blakeman's? Did those come on in bits and pieces?
There were some apartments, I think, for the Blakeman's project that did come on in kind of 2 or 3 waves. There have been a number of bigger projects, where they have over 80, 100 units that, they'll be done, and they're just kind of finishing the interior details of, the last 15% or so. And we wouldn't be able to inspect all the units at one time anyway. So we have worked with the building department to issue those in phases to allow the developers to kind of keep the ball rolling.
Interesting. Wasn't that the case with Mr. Getz's project on Spongex?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
But typically it's not like a daily thing where they're doing one at a time. It's something that would be, the first third, or most likely the first half or first 3 quarters, and the last little bit.
And how about Cedar Village with Mr. Stanzel?
I don't remember off the
He
top of
doesn't
my
have
head.
any affordable units.
No, but
But it wasn't all occupied. We saw it occupied when we did our site visit. There were sections of it that were not finished, not being rented yet.
so the apartments come in stages along the way. So the percentage would seem to be the most equitable.
On a modest sized development, they all come on at the same time. But in a very large development, that might not be the case.
Yeah, I would imagine that they would want to start renting them out if they get COs.
But on the other hand, if you haven't completed all your exterior site work, then you're going to have to put up a bond to do that. Once you get your first CO, all the other improvements either need to be in place or they need to be bonded.
So a percentage of available finished units, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
What was that?
the availability, a percentage of the availability of finished available units.
Right. And at no time does he have to exceed the 6.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Or the 12%.
Mm-hmm. So do you have,
Well, it should say 6, not the 12. You should have the 6
No,
on
the
it.
only
'cause
way
the ratio
Alex
may be
mentioned the
different.
12% if it's a partial rent out.
Right, right.
So I don't think
12%,
we'll worry
not
about that.
12.
We'll deal with that administratively.
mhm.
Yes.
So is this something that we need to include in the resolution, Attorney Titoso?
If you're going to put it as a condition of the approval, yes. Now, is the developer privy to this discussion right now, or is this just a,
No,
No.
they're
We did
present,
not have that discussion with him.
right.
what's
They're-
that?
The gentlemen are part of the Zoom, but they're listening in.
Okay,
But there has not been any specific conversation with them from the commission, and but I can't speak for staff.
But they're aware of our desire to have it not just be one unit. They were aware of that because we discussed that during the hearing.
Yes,
Yes.
because I believe that was thrown out at one time. And I think the commission did react that, no, that's not acceptable.
Correct.
Thrown out as presented, not thrown out as discarded.
Correct.
Yeah.
Mhm, yes.
Okay. Yeah. So Attorney Titoso, what's your recommendation on how to proceed on this application and the resolution?
okay. If I'm understanding the question correctly, the question is, can we say to the developer, the 12% affordable units that he proposes to be part of this project be spread among all of the units? Is that what you're saying?
Mhm.
Or what you're asking me?
Yes.
As opposed to state statute not stipulating that. That's the little bit of a wrinkle here.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah,
That's why I
good
said
point.
notwithstanding the statutes.
Well, you can only do what the statutes say. You can't step over the statutes. They can do it voluntarily, but you only have the power to impose what the statutes allow. You don't have the power to go beyond the statutes.
Right. And I guess it was Mr. Rossetti that read the statute where it doesn't address this issue?
Correct.
Okay.
Even as part of a zoning change approval?
So that's where I'm a little in the gray. I understand. So Fran, I know, this obviously is not an 830G application. I know the applicant can designate voluntarily certain units as affordable, saying, he wants to do the studios as affordable or the 1 bedrooms as affordable. However, with PDDs, it's really, they're creating their own zone. It's a unique piece. So the commission, in their sense, is saying, as part of this PDD, whatever number it is, 100 or 101, we're requiring then that all of the affordable units for this PDD, for this zone, are required or are up for, for lack of a better word, up for grabs to be rented as affordable. So I don't know if they're overstepping their bounds by.
You can only do with the PDD what you could do with a normal zone change,
yeah.
in the sense that the enabling statutes create the powers that the Planning and Zoning Commission has. When you're doing a PDD, you're essentially doing a mini zone change.
Correct.
It's somewhat intense, and there's a lot of provisions in our general statutes that categorize what you're going to be asking from the applicant. But as far as what you can impose on the applicant, you can't impose anything more than what the zoning laws allow you to do. And if the zoning laws do not allow the designation of specific affordable units outside of 8-30G, you can't do that. You
Well,
can suggest it, but you can't do it.
in some of my reading, I have read that, you know, municipalities can have zones that require residential developments to include X amount of units to be restricted to affordable. So in that sense, this commission would be enhancing that by, you know, just agreeing that, you know, this zone is this PDD zone is an affordable zone change. Therefore, you know, their requirement for that zone is that all units be allowed or are required to be rented at an affordable rate, not just studios.
Okay.
Does
All
that?
right, and I'd have to look up that statute to make sure, but if that statute exists, you can extrapolate it into the PDD.
Yeah, so I read it in one of the bar publications when I was doing some research. So I'll see if I can pull that up for you.
Can I ask a question? Have we checked with the Department of Housing and the office that would be able to provide some guidance? It just seems to me that at this point, we're spending a lot of time. I'm increasingly feeling like we are uncertain here. And I know there's been jokes about what the state does or doesn't do, but this commission has seen firsthand how responsive the Department of Housing has been when we wanted to hear about, you know, affordable housing. The director came down, spent time with us. I am just feeling like it might behoove all of us to table this, to reach out to the office, to get clarity. There might be some model guidance that they might be able to show us so that we can stand firm on what we're trying to do here. I think the intent is good, and I think the applicant is also trying to do good by provide affordable housing. But I just feel like we're spending a lot of time, and we may be moving forward on something that we might get better clarity from if we were to just table and call the Department of Housing tomorrow.
You can get information from the Department of Housing, but they're not going to issue a legal opinion. The legal opinion comes out of my office after that information is gotten. They only do advisories. They don't do anything with regard to a specific, if you will, designation with regard to a project.
Okay, well, be that as it may, then I think it is. I've been watching the time. We're coming up onto 25 minutes now. And I think to give Attorney Teodoso a chance to look into this and for staff to get some details to him, I think it would be wise that we just table this. As much as we would like to move on, I don't want something to happen that later on results in some kind of lawsuit.
Well, let me just propose one way you could do this quickly, if the developer were to agree.
Mm-hmm. What's that?
Just what I said.
Oh. So to take a verbal?
Hi.
No, if the you said the developer made a proposal to do it just in the studio apartments, and he said he was going to do that and accept it. That was unacceptable. You're trying to impose something on him. In order to impose it, we have to make sure that we can legally do it.
Mm-hmm.
But he can still volunteer to do it the other way, your way.
All right. Attorney Bellis is on the line. Mr. Rossetti, are you ready to discuss this with Attorney Bellis?
Yeah, he's right there.
Yeah.
I know, but the
We
public
can't.
hearing's closed. We can't. You
That's
can't.
true. Yes.
All right.
So
You got the floor.
Attorney Bellis, as I'm sure you've heard, the commission is interested in renting out asking that all of your units be available for affordable rentals. Is that something you'd be agreeable to?
Yeah, I think that Tony made a point. We don't want to put in a zoning resolution how it's going to be administered because that will become a nightmare. But I can tell you, if it makes the commission feel more comfortable, that perhaps maybe we just split and we would agree that at least 3 of the units would be 1 bedrooms and at least 3 of the units would be studios. and we can deal with the administration of that outside of zoning. Does that help the commission?
No?
Not exactly.
Not exactly.
Not
Mhm.
exactly, because there are more varieties.
Wait,
of
wait, wait. Attorney
we-
Zito, can we express our
Yeah.
opinion?
Oh,
You guys already closed your public hearing?
Yes.
We're discussing the resolution.
Okay.
I was just trying to, I don't know how to I don't know how, do we agree that as units become available, that if one were to become available for affordable, the answer is yes, up to 6. I don't know how you put that in the zoning resolution, but we are agreeable.
for any type of.
I think,
or-
quite frankly,
Can't talk. Mr.
Yeah.
Rossetti,
Yeah,
Oh, sorry.
yeah, I heard the commission, and I am stating that my client would be agreeable to up to 12, having 12% of the units go to affordable. I don't know how you could, I think that we agree to that.
well, we did say that. We
Yeah.
said it in the resolution.
We
Six-
did.
Not less than 6 units need to be affordable, and we'll work out all the details later.
All right. That is.
But I think now a commissioner is asked if we should not include in the resolution that they not be restricted to any unit, that if there's a demand for an affordable unit and there's one vacant that fits that need, they should be able to, you should be able to rent it to them, as long as you don't exceed your 6.
Correct.
Okay, without reference to whether it's a 1-bedroom or a studio or a 1-bedroom and office,
Understood.
as long as the total doesn't exceed 6.
Correct.
Okay, yeah, I think rather than trying to be any more specific in the regulation, let Alex and I work those out in the administrative controls that ensue your decision. Not now. We put it in 2 different locations in the regulations about having to do it, and that the units have to comply with state of Connecticut affordability requirements. And we've set the maximum limit. Okay? What say everybody?
I just don't think it makes it absolute. I think if the property is sold and it's not in the resolution, it's not.
If the
This is sort of like a promise that the developer is making, and we trust, we know them at the moment, but we don't know who may purchase the property.
The only assurance I can give you in that regard, Ruth, is it's very unlikely that the project would be sold at this stage of the game without approved detailed development plans.
But not only that,
And that's where you have the control. You have the control in that approval of detailed development plans.
the
You can make the ratio reflective on the land records.
That will be, yes.
Okay.
It specifically says 6 units.
Will be on the resolution, yeah.
Well, it says 6 units, but it doesn't say of any type.
Correct. I can amplify one of those references.
Well, that's our concern. That's what started this whole conversation, is just what do we have to support the fact that we would like it to be a mix of units or whatever's next available for affordable housing, and not just have it limited to one, the cheapest model, if you will. We just want some assurance that 20 years from now, if that will still be the case.
You could prepare a caveat for the land records.
It's there.
Well, if that's what we need to do, then that's fine. This is all new to us, and we can certainly learn from this going forward.
yeah, that's for sure.
I mean, we've been just talking in circles all night on this.
I'm looking for where I moved.
All right, so let's give Mr. Panico a chance to look at the resolution.
We know that the developer is trying to do the right thing, obviously.
On page 5, And I'm under the section now where we're talking about various findings. And we talk about density in paragraph 4. And the final sentence says, the 40 units must include not less than 6 units allocated as affordable units in compliance with CGS. Now, and I can add to that, such units shall not be, I have to find some words, shall be distributed no less than 50-50.
No, no.
No.
We just say, must include a mix of not less than 6 units?
That's a good idea.
It must include,
A mix of not less than 6 units.
Right.
okay.
I mean, that's a pretty simple way to say it's got to be mixed, not just one
Okay.
type.
I
That
don't
takes you
have
out
a
of the
problem with that.
one type of unit.
We just put those 3 words. The
Acceptable.
47 units must include a mix of not less than 6 units allocated as affordable housing.
That would be acceptable.
Okay, and then Alex and I will work out better wording prior to the approval of detailed development plans, and we'll get everybody on board. But this is what was
Also have
required
a
in the zoning
caveat that
decision.
goes on the land records that reflects that, and that will address the commissioner's concerns that 15, 20, or 25 years from now, the limitation is still there.
All right, so is this the correct statement that would,
Right
finish
after,
up
right after
number
that
4.
word must include a mix of, not less than,
6 affordable units?
right.
Okay, so I'll read it one more time. Such units must include a mix of not less than 6 affordable units.
Well, it actually says that 47 units must include.
Yes, the sentence reads, the 47 units must include a mix of not less than 6 units allocated as affordable units
Perfect,
in compliance with CGS.
okay.
All right,
Right.
that puts that away.
All right, any questions, anybody? Attorney Tedosco, you think we're good?
I think you're fine.
Okay,
Yay.
it only took 33 minutes.
Thank God.
Only of it was getting in touch with me.
That's okay.
Well, we'll keep that in our pocket for the next one as well, right? The next discussion on this.
Yeah, all right. Anything else before we let Attorney Tedosco take leave? Okay, well, everyone has the resolution. Everyone has the additional language for the resolution. If there are no other comments, questions, or concerns, we would need to take a vote. And I do want to point out, Commissioner Adamski did leave the meeting, but he was absent for the July 29th, August 26th, and September 16th meetings. Commissioner Laskos, you were excused from those same 3 meetings. You were at the October 28th meeting when we had a discussion and came to a consensus. Commissioner Usal, out of the 4 meetings, you were absent for 2 of them. So if we want to have 6 voting members, we definitely have 5, but I don't know if it's necessary to have 6 because Commissioner Laskos, you would need to confirm that if you are absent for 3 out of the 4, that you've become acquainted with this particular application and feel comfortable in voting on it.
I've read all the materials that have been posted on the website.
Mm-hmm.
What is necessary is that you have 4 affirmative votes.
Right, yeah,
It doesn't matter if you have 5 people or 6 people, as long as you got 4 affirmative votes.
exactly. So Commissioner Laskos, do you feel qualified then to, you've been seated for about a good hour now. You feel qualified then to be?
Yes,
To
I
vote
was
on
in
this?
the
Okay.
last discussion on this also.
Very good.
Yeah.
All right, so is there someone
Nobody
that
has
would like,
mentioned it yet.
is Say that again?
Who has motioned it yet?
That's what I was just gonna ask.
Oh, okay.
Just turning back a page. Okay, so is there a commissioner that would like to move this particular resolution?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, there's Commissioner Motto moving this resolution. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Commissioner Parkins. So on the resolution, moved by Commissioner Motto, seconded by Commissioner Parkins. On a roll call, Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Parkins,
Aye.
Commissioner Motto,
Aye.
Commissioner Tiki,
Aye.
Commissioner Laskos,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Motion is passed, resolution adopted 6-0. Okay, thank you, Attorney Tiodoso. I'm gonna hang up my phone. Good night, thank you. All right, let me get my desk back in order. Moving on to the next agenda item. We have application 2108, David Gazelle at 5 Huntington Street, Assessors Map 74. Lot 21 in a CA2 zone on 0.38 acres for a site plan application, including retail, convenience, and deli operations with an existing drive-through and on-site parking. We first need to accept for review. Is there a motion to accept for review, please?
Make a motion.
Okay, motion to accept for review from Commissioner Kelly. Is there a second?
Commissioner Tiki will second.
Okay, thank you. So roll call vote on the accepting application 2108 for review. Commissioner Parkins,
Aye.
Commissioner Kelly,
Aye.
Commissioner Laskos,
Aye.
Commissioner Tiki,
Aye.
Commissioner Matto,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Motion to accept for review is passed 6-0. So is the applicant present?
Yes, I am.
Okay, identify yourself for the record, please, your name and address, and want to proceed with your proposal. And I hope that the commission has all of the supporting documentation that was put on the city's website.
Hello, how are you? My name is David Gazal. I've been a resident of Shelton for over 20 years, and I just purchased a property at 5 Huntington Street in the old Bank of America in Shelton Center. My whole intentions with the property is to make it convenient with a deli, mostly and obviously utilizing drive-through since we are in unprecedented times with COVID. Now, the whole idea of the drive-through is to basically just keep our employees and customers safe, and no ordering is going to be done through the drive-through. It's mostly used for pickup only. And as far as basically ordering via through the phone, I'm actually we're developing an application for people to order through and just go and pick up, and as well as third-party applications such as Uber Eats or DoorDash and etc. We've been working on it for a while, and it's not designated for anything ordering on the spot. It's mostly for pre-made goods such as coffee and muffins and drinks.
Okay, a couple interesting things about this particular location is that this particular piece of property has been carved out of the whole shopping center.
Yes.
And that's pretty unusual that that would happen. I just want to have you confirm, do you have all of the easement rights or whatever would be required as part of that sale so that your customers can actually use all of the area to drive in from whatever street that they're approaching the shopping center?
Correct. I know there's a lease in form with the plaza that the bank used to pay, and that lease is actually supposed to be eliminated by July, and that was they would pay $777 a month to use the extra parking spots, but after that lease is over, there is no new lease, and I should be grandfathered in with the extra parking spots.
Well, I'm not talking about the parking, but someone in a car that's coming down Huntington Street or coming up Shelton Avenue and they want to visit your establishment, is there anything that we need to be careful about? Mr. Panico, maybe you could weigh in on this, that would give that particular customer the right to enter the entire shopping center to get to your location. You don't have street frontage. That's what
I can't say factually, but I would presume that those rights were vested with the approval of the original development on that property. At one time, it was a bank, and the only way you could get to that bank is over the other parcel. So when the property was split, if in fact, I guess it was split off the original one, those access and egress arrangements should have been earmarked. And I suspect they probably are.
Yeah, I just don't want to give an approval for a business to occupy a piece of a shopping center and the landlord come back and say, hey, he has no right to have.
Well, you could request the applicant to provide you with a copy of the deed.
It's
spelling out-
right there on the plan.
Yeah.
It does say it where?
Ingress, egress,
Egress
easement.
easement. Okay, there we go. Volume 470, page
So-
189. Yeah, because I know the
Which plan
assessor's
are we
card
on?
says that you purchased this in just this past December.
Correct.
Okay, so, all right, good. All right, so that's a concern that I was worried about. So you have a business here that's going to be obviously advertised with a sign and everything. How are you going to manage if somebody driving through the parking lot says, ooh, I need to stop and get a sandwich, and this looks like a deli, and this looks like where I want to go to get something. If they don't have access to that, they're not aware of that app for ordering. How are you going to accommodate them? You don't have something that they could drive up to before they turn the corner around the back, like Wendy's does, or Duchess, or.
As far as signage, sorry to cut you off, but as far as signage, I'm content with putting up a signage. But the reason why I do not want to do that is because I don't want people to just pull in and order. Even if they do decide to order and it's a big order, I dedicated 1 or 2 parking spots for them to park in there and have a runner up go out there and give them their food rather than waiting in the drive-through. And
This
causing-
isn't for a pickup. This is somebody that drives through. You got a potential customer. How are you going to be able to convey to them that they don't pull up around because they're going to see that drive up area. How are they going to know not to drive around the right side, around the back, and come up to the drive-through and be looking at somebody in the window and wanting to order something? You know,
Correct. I mean, regardless, if if they do want to order something and it's not an excessive amount of order, then that could be done at a different note. But as far as ordering, I would put up a speaker up if you ask for commission.
So you're one of the, the result would be that they could order at the window, but then they would be directed to go into a parking space while the
Correct.
order is prepared.
Correct.
Okay, I know you have a lot of queuing. I discussed this with staff, and Mr. Rossetti said he did the math and he computes X number of parking spaces. I mean, slots that people could line up one behind the other. It's just, I'd hate to see something happening because, you know, you have one disgruntled customer and it's going to be all over social media. And I hate to see your business getting slammed that way for not being accommodating. And I think it's just something you have to put some thought into.
Sure.
So I'll give other commissioners a chance to weigh in on that. But the final thing is the exterior of the building does it still have that ATM little kiosk?
Yes, it does. I didn't remove anything. I didn't remove anything from the outside at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm planning on where that ATM is. I'm planning on actually adding another ATM.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that on your paperwork?
Oh no, I don't mean on the outside. I mean for the inside.
Oh, on the inside. Okay. So
Yeah, no, not for the outside.
okay. So you plan to remove that structure?
From the outside, most likely I'm just gonna keep it for now.
Okay, if you look at your front doorway, the area above the white pointy framing, as that used to be apparently 2 sets of doors. So are you planning on making any changes to the doorways?
No, the doors are continuing and they're remaining the same.
Mhm. Okay, is there anything else you want to share before I open it up to other commissioners?
No, that is all.
Okay,
I would have one question I'd like to put forth.
Yes, sir.
A concern of the commission has always been with the type of operation that you're suggesting, the deli type operation, is sometimes the window signage gets totally out of control. Are you willing to put some restrictions on yourself regarding the limitations of, the paper handmade signs that are plastered in windows saying you got a pastrami sandwich on sale for $3.50 or something?
Yeah, I'm definitely limiting that, and I'm not going to advertise mostly on windows. I'm keeping it nice and clean and just neon signing, nothing as in putting up, handprints up there and just keep posting it up. So I'm definitely limiting it.
So you will not have any handmade paper window signs.
No, sir.
Okay. I think that's important.
Mr. Rossetti, we do have a limitation on window coverage, so we have to, that would also include the neon signs that the applicant just referenced.
It gets a little difficult because you have windows in the front, windows on the side. You got a circulating customer driveway around the building, so it wouldn't be unusual for somebody to try to put signage in those other windows as well. So
Mhm.
just to make sure we don't get into a battle over that, as long as the
Mhm.
applicant's willing to state that he's not going to be doing it, then it can just be noted in the record.
Aesthetically, I would like to see that exterior ATM removed. I don't think that's a very,
With the I'm sorry, you're saying with the where the window is kind of tinted in the red on top right there?
yeah,
Yeah, you would
right
like that
behind that
removed?
handicap space.
Yeah. Okay, that's not a big deal.
Yeah,
could be
I
done.
mean, it's just, this is a chance for that building to really get upgraded.
Oh, it's going to be. It's going
And
to be.
that particular location spot where the ATM is now used to have, I think, a matching window like the one to the left. So that to me would give you more visibility. In your drawing, you have what looks like a deli counter.
Correct.
And then also you have 3 long things drawn.
Those are display cases.
Those
Display
are display
cases, correct.
So this is something that people are going to come in to shop at, and it looks like you've got coolers against the wall on the right side.
Correct.
So to tell you the truth, give your interior more visibility by removing that and having it more window space.
I mean, this building has been vacant for about 2 years now, and the inside needed a lot of work cleaning up and whatever. But I am putting my I'm going all out on this. I'm a resident of Shelton. I grew up in Shelton. I plan on raising my kids in Shelton. So it's nice to own this piece of property, and I'm really, really going to make it a really nice place and very high class and like nice looking, luxury looking. I'm not going cheap on anything. It's a very nice location, and I plan on keeping it that way and making it better.
Yeah. The Mr. Moss, who's the primary for this shopping center, has gone around and has done some improvements and we would just like it to look even better. That's for sure. My personal feeling on that. So does any commissioner want to weigh in on this?
Yeah, I would.
Okay, Commissioner Kelly.
Mr. Gazal,
Yes, sir.
are you gonna allow people eating inside, or are you gonna have tables or booths?
I
or
do.
what?
So I've talked to planning and zoning. They recommend me not putting no more than 2 tables, and that's why I only have 2 tables out there. But there's not going to be no more than that at max.
That's inside. They're the circular.
Correct, sir.
Oh, yeah. They're the ones in the rectangles that are to the left of the main
Yeah,
entrance.
right. All right, now, you're talking about a drive-through. How is are you gonna have a sign with a menu or how is that going to?
As far as that, a sign with a menu could be optional, but to limit the ordering through drive-through, I was not really focusing on that, but if that's needed, that could be done to make it easier and accessible for the customers.
I think all that's going to do is attract that type of activity, and it's going to create issues.
That's why I'm asking.
I think you should limit it, you should have limited essentially to a convenience pickup window.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And if
Okay.
you should get somebody who inadvertently gets in there to, as you said, and he realizes he's got to sit in line for 10 minutes while you make him a sandwich, he's gonna
Exactly.
have to pull off into a parking space.
Yeah, that's right. And it's gonna, right. That's why I asked.
Mhm.
No, I would suggest that there be no exterior menu board.
Okay. Can I go back to the interior seating for a minute? Now that, if you have this up and running, if approved, and this is up and running by summer, what about exterior seating? You know, we do have new regulations as of last May or June as to outside seating is permitted. Have you thought about that? And how you
For
would-
outside seating, it's not going to be no more than 2 tables as well, if that is allowed.
But you have thought about that?
Yeah, I have, but it's not something that I'm striving for, that it's necessary.
Okay, if at such time you want to go ahead with that, you definitely would need to coordinate that with planning and zoning staff. So to make sure that you're adhering to the regulations.
Okay.
So, what are those hexagonal kind of roundish things that
It just
are?
so that's more of a different it's the same thing as the middle, just this the
they're just-
middle
it's a
one.
Display.
Yeah, it's a more of a display, but it's
Yeah.
a circular display.
Okay. All right, anybody else?
I have
Signage,
go ahead.
I'm just gonna say, do we have any commentary on sign now, or you want them to bring it back after?
No, it needs to come back. We
Okay.
need to see more specifics. We would never approve with something like what's shown on the visual that's on the screen. We need definitely a specific drawing for that.
As for signage,
Yeah,
oh yeah, I just didn't come up with a good name. That's why I didn't have it ready.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
that's okay. All right, did someone else want to speak up? Was there somebody?
Yes, Commissioner Tiki here.
Go ahead.
I just want to associate myself with the chairwoman's comments. I'm familiar with this building and the plaza, and the building needs a little bit of love, but it's an exciting proposal to have here, and I know it's been vacant for a while. And then I was just going to ask about, it says your hours of operation is 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Is that 7 days a week, or tell me more about what you think the hours of operation might be
To
for
be honest with you,
in person, but also the drive-through.
Yeah, I'm kind of playing it by ear for now as to know what kind of customer base I have. But as far as the morning, 6 in the morning is going to be open, since I do have schools around me. And as far as 10, I don't think it's going to be to 10 o'clock at night, but it's probably going to be like around 8 or 9. And for drive-through hours, it's just going to be the same operation hours.
Mhm. Yeah, you might consider Friday and Saturday nights being a later.
Yeah, a later night, and maybe Sundays even close earlier. I know
Yeah.
the person next door closes on Mondays as well.
Mhm.
So just an idea.
Yep. Okay. Any other commissioner?
Chairwoman, I personally have some major concerns with this particular proposal. If you read through the proposal, this is being proposed as a convenience store and a deli. So i.e. Scooter's Deli, Buck Stop, people drive in, grab. So there's a lot of display cases. It's not just a restaurant that you're driving through to get food, right? So you're going in, you're getting milk, you're getting bread, you're getting yodels, whatever, you feel in the mood for, soda. The traffic in that area, while there may be a lot of queuing space, if it's not if people are going to be driving in the morning to get their egg and cheese sandwich and a cup of coffee, they're going to utilize that drive-through. And I think that drive-through is going to create a hassle at that shopping center, especially as you're leaving. There's a left turn only, right turn only, which most people just totally ignore. So then you've got people turning left at the light. I think it's going to be, I think it's going to create a big hassle there. So I think this needs,
Going up to Shelton Avenue, you're only supposed to turn right.
correct.
Yeah,
Okay.
you can't make a left there.
Right. But most people do. And I think this is just going to increase that. So while I'm not opposed to the use at this location, I think I am really opposed to the drive-through option. I think it's going to create issues as we're finding all over Shelton, that drive-throughs, because it's a convenience for people that don't like to get out of their car. So that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, times have changed since this past year. So I don't know. I know I have a bad taste in my mouth about Starbucks and the backup that creates. I've got to places for pickup and parked in the parking space, and I haven't been inconvenienced myself. How much different would this have been when it was a bank? I don't know.
Well, a bank, you're only going to get what, maybe 2 or 3 people come in. This you may have 30 people in line in the morning to grab their bacon and egg sandwich and cup of coffee. It's a totally different type of use for a drive-through.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry.
Chairwoman, you had, if I just ask a question on that topic, you had said that Alex took a look at the queue. Do we know how many cars would be able to fit in that queue at full capacity without blocking the parking lot?
Mr. Rossetti, can you address that?
Yep, I approximated about 12 to 13.
Wow.
So 12 to 13 before they hit the traffic flow of that parking lot.
So if you're looking at the screen, and so this, each of these parking spaces is almost 20 feet long. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I did this on paper, but 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and then you're kind of starting to stick out around here. And that's assuming a 20-foot plus or minus vehicle, which is a decent size. That's a full size SUV at least. So, and then plus some space in between each bumper, you're talking low teens. And then as David said earlier, for people that wanted to order a bigger order or they needed more time, he's got these spaces over here where someone could park in.
It'll be important for that business to work with customers, especially if they're calling in orders or if they are in the drive-through, to really have them go to that space and let customers know they're actually going to get faster service if they go to that parking spot. So I don't know if the answer is signage or, clear communication, but we need to work that out. And also that parking lot is often fairly open and it's a big parking lot, and you're going to have cars coming from lots of different directions because there's a couple of ways to get to this particular building. So just something for the other landowner to be mindful of with the amount of cars that could come through, whether it's by, common bond and down that hill and so forth, if a lot of folks are coming to this in the morning.
Yeah, the signage I think is easy to work out. I was at Target on Sunday afternoon, and they have a section of the parking lot where if you're here to pick up, you pull in that space, you call the phone number, and somebody trots out the stuff. You don't even have to get out of your car. You just pop your trunk.
I just don't feel that a lot of thought has gone into that process for this particular business. I don't think, he says, well, if they come up and they haven't ordered already, then we'll just tell them to pull over. I think that they're going to find that they're going to end up putting in some sort of speaker and have people order there, because they're going to find that most people don't know they have to order unless you have a big sign on the side of the building that says line for pickup only, place orders. If they don't really instruct people, you're going to get that backup. And you've got a brand new restaurant in there, from what I understand is a big hit, and they're doing very well. Catano's Cucino, good reviews on that place. So You know, they're busy as well. So I don't want to see this become a mess where everybody starts blasting the planning and zoning for making a decision like this.
Yeah.
Because we're the ones that get the heat.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And I think the drive-through, when it was approved for a bank back then, was approved because it was a bank, not because it was going to be a deli or a coffee house.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, it's just, it
So
happened to be.
that's my big concern with the drive-through.
Mhm. Yeah. So Mr. Gazelle, I think you do need to think a little bit more about how you're gonna handle that kind of thing. It's doable.
No,
Just,
it is doable, of course.
yeah.
And I'm planning on doing everything the commission wants me to do. You know, I wanted to do this right.
Yeah,
And,
and I think what Commissioner Parkins can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we more expected you come in and say, this is how I'm gonna do it. Not,
well, yeah,
okay,
I do
well,
have it.
that's, yeah.
I do have it down to a T as far, but as people ordering and signage, I mean, the only option I had was dedicating the first 2 spots for them if it was excessive. I mean, as far as signage, I will put that up. I
Mhm.
just didn't want to cause more traffic as to it is. I just wanted it for pickup and essentially for COVID and keeping my customers and employees safe and less face-to-face transactions going on.
Yeah, one of the things is that you might want to have to work with the landlord, because that section of your drawing, that this one in particular, which is the site plan. I don't know if you can see it or not. Maybe
I'm
not.
sorry, miss, I can't see. You can see your background in the back.
Yeah, it's the one that is the bird's eye view of the whole lot. And that one. And down at the bottom where Mr. Rossetti had pointed out about the easement comments, you've got that little landscaping island there. Be careful as to which side of the, if you know, is that wide enough for 2 cars to pass by each other, so that somebody's not cutting in front of somebody else. Everybody's in a hurry these days, so look into that. But okay, so anybody else from the commission have any questions, comments, or concerns? Is there anyone that wants to make a motion on this particular application?
Jenny, the dumpster area is an old school dumpster area. It's looks like it must be a chain link fence with slats in it or something.
Mm-hmm.
Did that work okay in the past? And it probably worked okay with the bank because they have a minimum amount of trash that goes out. But now we're dealing with an operation that's going to generate substantially more trash. And perhaps we need to improve that dumpster area treatment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've noticed quite a bit behind the paint store, as it seems like I think they have at least 2 dumpsters, and those seem always to be full.
Yeah.
So I certainly understand Mr. Panico's concern about how much trash would be generated by that. It's another
Now,
part
sorry
of
to
the
interrupt
operation.
you, but I've
No, go
spoken to
ahead.
the people next door, the Catino's place, and actually that dumpster is not mine. Everyone says it's their dumpster, but it's been on the property. I went on Google Maps and went back in time, probably for over 10 years, and it's been placed on the property, but it never was fenced in or had you know, slats or anything. But I spoke to Joshua about it, and I told him that I was going to fence it in and I was going to put it in chain link with slats, but he recommended to put it in wood rather than slats.
So you're going to assume ownership of a dumpster that may not
Well,
belong to the property?
do you not need a
Well,
dumpster?
They said that it's their dumpster because I kept calling and saying, whose dumpster is this? Like, how much do I have to pay a month and this and that? I called the company and they said that it's not my dumpster, but it's been on my property for a while.
Whose dumpster
Whose dumpster is it?
They said it was
why
Center
should we
Deli's.
tolerate a dumpster on your property?
Okay, so it was Center Deli's, the previous occupant of the Kachina place that
Correct.
just opened up, so they
But
did
But
not.
I do see the flower shop throwing into it. I do see the Catino's place throwing
Yeah.
into it, as well as the paint shop.
That's
think
something that
someone
you
oughta-
better
someone
work
oughta
out with the
put this
landlord,
together.
that dumpster's got to be relocated and your a new dumpster has to come in.
Exactly. I just don't know where they're going to put it.
Yeah. Okay,
How convenient is that location to your service store?
I'm sorry.
How convenient is that dumpster location to your service store?
It's been on my property and it's on my property. It's very convenient to me. It's right there. But I mean, if I would have to get one, it's going to go into the exact same place. But I've talked to the person next door and I think we're going to work on something where we're going to split it or this and, you know, split the pay and split the garbage together.
but what if your volume?
I think you
between the
should put
two
an
of you-
exception. You should put, if you're going to approve it, you should put an exception to the dumpster until you get more information about it.
Exactly.
Mhm. Hmm. Is there any commissioner that has any concerns like I have, is that we have a lot of loose ends that have to be tied up on this? Do you feel comfortable in taking action on this tonight and leaving it up to staff to work out the details, or what? Commissioner Kelly?
Yes. I think we should wait and get all these questions answered.
Commissioner Mato?
Yeah, I appreciate what Ruth is pointing out. I think people are used to buying food differently or beginning to, where a pickup only perhaps could work, but I think it has to be very clear that that is the plan, that it
Mhm.
would be a pickup only pre-ordered
Mhm. Okay.
food. Yeah. I think probably, well, Starbucks, I haven't been there in a long time, but part of the problem with Starbucks is that you order a fancy drink and it takes half an hour for somebody to make it.
Yeah. Okay, Commissioner Lascaux?
I'm fine with letting staff continue on with this as proposed.
But
Doesn't seem as complicated to me as,
what about the commission taking action on this tonight?
I think that would be a way to go.
Commissioner Tiki?
I'd be fine with us moving forward on it tonight and having staff work with them on the flow and the signage and what the plans are. But if the commission wants to table it and see more for ourselves, I'm fine with that as
Mhm.
well.
Commissioner Parkins?
As I said before, I just don't think the whole thing has been well thought out.
Mhm.
I think the fact that he had a drive-through was what enticed him to buy this property, as he clearly stated in his application, and I understand that. I just don't know that a deli convenience store is the proper venue to have a drive-through for.
Mhm.
So I'd really need some more really detailed information, not just, well, whatever the commission wants, because, you know, if we say something, it's going to change in 3 weeks because it's not working and they'll come back for a change. So
Mhm. All right, is there anyone that wants,
Oh.
is there somebody else speaking up? I'm sorry.
I would just had some comments, but I'll let you finish, Madam Chair.
Oh, go ahead. I was looking at my notes to ask for a motion to table or a motion to whatever.
Just
So,
keep
Mr.
in-
Rossetti, go ahead.
Just keep in mind to all the commissioners, this is for a site plan application. It's not for a PDD. It's not for a
Right.
special exception. You know, we're kind of we're not in an advisory role, but more closely aligned to that. As long as the applicant is meeting the requirements of, you know, I forget the exact sections, but 31, 33, you know, it's kind of our duty to continue with that process. However, if the commission has reservations about meeting this criteria, then those can absolutely be addressed. I know Ms. Parkins has some concerns, and I would just kind of like to make those clear. What if the commission wants to table this application, what specific criteria would they like addressed? Whether that's the signs, the traffic flow, announcement for how the drive-through is going to work, whatever it may be, just so we kind of have, I don't want to say a bullet point list, but just a clarity as to what the commission wants corrected, whether that's through staff approval or if you guys want to table it that way, we're clear as to what to continue with.
So Alex, I would ask you, you're saying this is just a site plan, but this drive-through was approved for a bank. So that's no longer the case. This is now a deli restaurant has a drive-through. So I think that's, whether it's a statement of uses, is that a planned development district in that whole unit is this just a component inside a PDD?
No, this is a commercial zone. This is a
This is not a
CA2
PDD.
zone. So, yeah, this is totally, this is
This is not a
conventional
PDD.
zoning.
So if another restaurant were to
But
say,
you're right, it is a use change,
right,
because banking is a specific use line in the regulations.
right. So
So it's a use
it could be a
change.
non-conforming use
Mhm.
I
of a-
don't know. It is a generic commercial zone down there, Ruth. I'm not sure if it's a CA or CB.
It's a
Right.
CA2 zone.
What
If
is it? Which one?
Charlie Alpha 2. Charlie Alpha 2, CA2. Ruth, your question being if a new restaurant wanted to move in, would they be allowed to take over the drive-through? Let's say Chick-fil-A. Is that
no, if they wanted to build a new, on the site, wanted to build a new restaurant, a Dunkin' Donuts, let's say, would they be allowed to build a drive-through?
No. It's a different use.
Well,
Okay,
this is a
so
different use from the bank too.
Getting it
Correct.
down,
However, this use is he's got two primary uses. One is retail with kind of the convenience sector. Another is kind of an accessory deli kind of service with a drive-through. If had this just been a retail establishment, that's something that staff would have approved. Or if it was something that was just a deli, that is something that staff would approve. However, the drive-through, and obviously it's generated some discussion, is what's kicked it up to kind of this level of scrutiny. So I'm sorry, I'm blanking on what your initial question was.
A non-conforming use.
Correct. So it's a different use for the drive-through. So that's why it's before the commission, because there is some language about drive-throughs and
well, the commission needs to act on a change of use.
correct.
It is a change of use because you're going from one use line to another. And it is only subject, you're correct, Alex, it's only subject to review and approval of a site plan. So if the commission is satisfied with the use and the site plans, then they have the obligation to approve it. But they also have the rights to question the usability of the drive-up window in conjunction with that proposed use.
Absolutely.
So it's a judgment call on the part of the commission, other than beyond that, addressing the specifics like signage and the dumpster and stuff like that. That's something obviously staff can work.
Yeah, it's just the drive-through that I have the issue with. I just don't think, I don't think it's appropriate there
Mhm.
for that use.
Okay, well, we're at the point where we need to take some action on it. Everybody's heard the points from different commissioners. Is there anyone that would like to make a motion on this particular application?
I'll make a motion to move forward with it.
Is that a motion for approval?
Yes, but with the stipulation that the drive-through be only a pickup of pre-ordered. He needs to be able to make that up. Not a place to order food,
Mm-hmm.
but a pickup only, if you can.
Can we
work
do that?
out.
How do you do that?
Just gonna ask.
How do you do it? Just signage, I guess. I mean, if you, like you said, if somebody gets in line to order something, they should be directed to park and come in the store, I guess, and order that way, or order
Call.
online.
Mm-hmm.
Best laid plans.
Yeah,
Yeah, there definitely needs to have some signage maybe over the top of the drive-through, not facing the parking lot, but facing the rear of the building. And maybe one in the front right corner. So, you know.
Anybody else? Let's
I'll
hear
second it.
Hear it. Second it? Okay.
All right, so there's a motion to approve from Commissioner Amato with the caveat that there be more signage to explain the ordering process. Is that correct, Commissioner Amato?
Yes.
Okay. And there's a second from Commissioner Laskos. So on the motion to approve with the caveat for more signage to explain the ordering process. Do a roll call vote. Commissioner Tiki,
Aye.
Commissioner Laskos,
Aye.
Commissioner Kelly,
Nay,
Commissioner Parkins,
Nay, because of the drive-through. I wish him well. I think that, you know, it's a good use, but I do not agree with the drive-in and I do not think it can be monitored. So nay.
okay. Commissioner Amato,
Aye.
okay. And
Down to you.
I know. No, I
Put
just
yourself
want
in the hot seat.
I don't mind being in the hot seat because I have been for a while, but it's just looking at this and not having us open up and create a can of worms. You know, I compliment anyone that's willing to put their neck and their finances out on the line and start a new business. I just want to make sure that there's enough of thought behind this, and it's not going to create more of an enforcement problem for our staff. To tell you the truth, I would entertain, I don't know if there would be a way that your amendment or your motion, Commissioner Motto, could be amended at all to accept a motion to withdraw without prejudice, which would allow him to continue working with staff. I think staff is well aware of our concerns as to make sure that this fits in.
Yeah, that would be okay with me. Perhaps he could do some research on a similar business to show that this pickup only plan is something that works.
Mhm.
no, I think we all have a bad taste in our mouths from the Starbucks.
Starbucks. Is it still
Yeah.
bad up there? I've
Oh, it's
never seen
terrible.
it.
Times of day.
It's
sometimes
absolutely
it's a day.
terrible.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. I'll just say, you know, with the Starbucks, because I know I've raised this here too. Plans are different when they're on paper than when they're built, and this at least
Right.
is built, and we know it, and we know the parking lot. You know, we all took on that development, and we see that the Starbucks accused out to the street, and I've said it's I think it's a safety hazard. But this is a parking lot that we are familiar with. It is much more spacious than the Starbucks parking lot, which is quite crammed. And businesses have been added there after we approved Starbucks, so more just kept coming. We are familiar with this plaza. There's actually not too many vacancies in that back portion of the Huntington Plaza. So, you know, I think if we can work out a system, well, first of all, there's a motion on the table. I know there's a friendly ask to change the motion, but there's a motion on the table, and we were 5 have voted so far. But you know, the motion was to have him work with, have the applicant adhere to our motion, and then work with staff to see if it can work. But I just wanted to mention that because I know Starbucks keeps coming up. It is not exactly the same, but I share in the concerns that Starbucks is unsafe, and we need to be really careful when we take on these sorts of developments and we just cram stuff into a parking lot, especially with that drive-through, because the Starbucks is a bad example of what can happen as they build out new buildings.
Mhm. Yeah, that motion would have the caveat to work with staff about the signage so that the ordering process is clear. So unless Commissioner Amato wants to maintain her original motion,
Well, I think we've taken votes. Maybe, like I said, it's up to you.
yeah, then tell you the truth, I'm going to have to vote nay on this one and have the applicant can continue to work with staff, he can resubmit. But there's a lot of loose ends on this that I hate to discourage.
Obviously, there's one alternative vote, and that would be a vote to modify and approve, the modification being the elimination of the drive-up window. If the applicant wants to proceed on that basis until he can come back and justify the drive-up window, that's his choice.
I don't know if that's going to help the matter at all.
I don't either.
I mean, you
Yeah.
guys all just cast votes. And so I'm pretty sure at this point this application's dead. So I
I
think
just
it's
think your
time
decision ought to be clear that it's focusing on the drive-up.
Mm-hmm,
And that's why you have nay votes as opposed to affirmative votes.
mm-hmm. Yep, okay. All right, well, the applicant can certainly continue to work with staff on a new application and come back to us with something that's maybe fits this particular location a little bit better. So
As far as what? As far as the drive-through, I'm sorry.
just the concerns that we expressed about the drive-through and the signage.
Okay, so the only
and
concern is the signage and kind of just making it more clear of how it would be used to be for pickup only, correct?
I think staff would,
That's what I suggested. I don't know that anybody else agrees with that, or
It should
everybody
probably
agrees
be
with
referred
that.
to as a service window for pickup only, or
Mhm,
something to that effect.
yeah. Mr. Panico has a good handle on things like this. Mr. Rossetti does. I think,
The difficulty is the enforcement of it.
Mhm.
Customers are customers, and they're going to say, well, yeah, I mean, I don't have to order. I'm just going to go up to the window and say, oh, that's what I want. I
Mhm.
don't know.
Correct, and that's why I tried to avoid that by just marking 2 parking spots for those type of customers who are willing to order on the spot, kind of, rather than via a phone or through the application or, third-party applications.
Mhm.
I think one of the problems is that you haven't presented concrete plans. You're kind of like, well, whatever the commission wants me to do,
Well, it's
sort
not,
of thing.
it's not
And
about that.
I get
do
that
have,
you're new to this,
Wait a
so.
minute.
I'm sorry,
unfortunately-
Ruth. I'm sorry,
Mr.
Ruth. I do
Gazelle.
have the concrete plans and I do have
Giselle,
them.
could you let Commissioner Parkins finish his statement, and then I'll turn
Yeah,
the
go ahead.
to the floor.
I apologize.
Commissioner Parkins, did you have anything else?
Yeah, so it sounds like it was a 3-3 vote. I don't know at this point, can it be denied without prejudice so that he doesn't have to repay a application fee? Is that possible? I'm standing by my ground that I just don't think the drive-through is going to work at this location for a deli.
Yeah,
May I just add, I hope the applicant thinks about coming back and perhaps after hearing this conversation and the 3-3 vote, provide some more details about how it could work. But one thing to just perhaps consider is if he is working with these third-party services, which are very popular and not going away, Uber and DoorDash and all the rest, that maybe the drive-through window is there. It could be an opportunity for the business. Maybe only those third-party servicers are using the drive-through window so that they're in and out, they're not out of their car. So the Ubers and the DoorDashes are using the drive-through and then going out to the homes they're delivering to. And then maybe that's it. It's just an idea, but we like to usually, encourage businesses, but we also want to be mindful of these sorts of centers. And I hear the concerns that have been raised, but just I hope that the applicant knows that he shouldn't be discouraged by this vote, and I hope he comes back and there might be a way to figure out some level of plan that is a happy medium based on what he heard tonight and what that building provides. There is a drive-through, maybe there's an opportunity there with the third-party servicers.
mhm,
It was a bank drive-through. Let's not forget that.
yeah. Okay. All right, Mr. Gazelle, you have a
Yes.
last word before we move on. I do have to move on to the next.
Yeah,
agenda.
okay, I agree. I kind of agree with Mrs. Commissioner Parkins with what she's saying and stating. I do understand it was a bank, but at the same time, I'm not going to become a franchise. So I really believe that the bank would bring in more customers through drive-through than I would personally, because I am not a franchise. I'm kind of just starting it off as someone that's starting a deli and stuff like that. So I don't think I would be that popular at the beginning until I start getting people or customers used to me. So as far as, I don't think I would have many people going through drive-throughs at first.
Okay, well, that
Yeah, that-
we could certainly continue discussing that with staff. And if at some point you do come back, I'm sure the staff could work with the commission as to about the fee for the application. Okay?
Okay.
All right, I lost my agenda somehow. Okay. All right, next thing on the agenda, and it is now 9:25. We've been on here for 3.5 hours, even with our, knowing that we did have a recess, but let's see if we can finish up. Bond release for soil and erosion control bond for application 19-14 DSA Companies, 705 Bridgeport Avenue, which is the CVS Pharmacy. Does staff have any comments on this?
Yeah, the whole building's basically done, so we have no issues releasing this bond.
Okay, and there's the what happened with some of the
rock wall.
rock wall that
back
was
area.
behind that has nothing to do with this.
No.
Okay, all right. So does anybody, any commissioner wish to make a motion to approve the bond release?
So
A motion
moved.
for release.
Okay, was that Commissioner Ticky?
It was Commissioner Ticky and also Commissioner Parkins. So
Okay, Commissioner Ticky, you have made the motion. Commissioner Parkins as the second.
I'll do the I'll take the second.
Yep, okay. All right, on the motion to approve by Commissioner Ticky and seconded by Commissioner Parkins, the bond release for application 19-14, Commissioner Motto,
Aye.
Commissioner Laskos,
Aye.
Commissioner Ticky,
aye.
Commissioner Kelly,
Aye.
Commissioner Parkins,
Aye.
and chair votes aye. Motion is passed by 6-0. Next is comments from the chair and subcommittee chairs. I just want to quickly mention, as I indicated in our last meeting, and you might have read in the local newspapers, especially yesterday in the online edition of Shelton Herald, there's been numerous bills proposed in the current session of the Connecticut General Assembly that concern zoning. I personally have testified in public hearings held by the Housing Committee on February 18th and March 4th, in a public hearing held by the Finance, Revenue, and Bonding Committee on March 15th, and a public hearing of the Planning and Development Committee on March 22nd. A second public hearing held by Planning and Development Committee on March 15th ran for 24 hours, and I was one of about 100 persons who was not given the opportunity to testify before the public hearing was adjourned. However, I did submit written testimony. Content of the various proposed bills is very disturbing to me, and any attempts to eliminate local zoning boards from making decisions and mandating multifamily and accessory unit dwellings in inappropriate locations, to institute as of right zoning without a requirement for a public hearing, and the imposition of a tax on homeowners if a community has not met its affordable housing unit requirements is distasteful, and I feel inappropriate. I think these proposals are bad public policy, and we have to maintain the ability to decide local land use. I did say that I had a resolution that I would be sharing with the commissioners. I had not done so at this time up to this point because of all of these public hearings that I was learning about every day. I wanted to see how those were managed and what how everything worked out there. So, but I did want to update you on that. So I don't know if anybody else wants to weigh in on this particular item. If not, then I will just move.
Well, Chairwoman, I know, I'm glad. So I'm hearing that you're not proposing a resolution tonight with language. Is that correct?
Right, exactly.
Okay. I would agree with that. I would just know, and I've seen some of it, much of it is, it unfortunately seems to be partisan and politically charged in what I've read, but I just think it's important that we all take a look at the bills. There are thousands of bills proposed at the state, many bad ideas, some good ideas. There are a lot of bills that deal with zoning. They're all different, and none of them have so far gotten out of committee. So I'm glad that there's not language that we're taking up tonight, because I think it would be premature when we don't know what is the language that's going to be coming out of committee, if anything at all. And when the time comes, we can have, the discussion about zoning and about what some of these efforts are. And we'll take it up then, but I'm glad that there's not a resolution tonight, because this is just getting started at the state level, and we probably could have a lot to say about a lot of state bills that affect municipalities. And I don't think it would have been well thought out to do a resolution tonight when we don't even know what the bill is, if there even is a bill.
There are a number of bills that were proposed, House bills and Senate bills. And I don't think this was an off the cuff kind of attempt from different elected officials to get these through. One of the things that I noticed was that there's language that tends to repeat itself among more than one bill. I don't know if the thought process is, well, if they don't particularly care for this bill and it goes down, well, if that language is in another bill, well, maybe that one will get passed. I think that there is a concerted effort, and there was a lot of thought put behind these particular bills. We had the Board of Aldermen did have Mr. DeLong from the Connecticut Council of Municipalities appear at its Board of Aldermen meeting last week. And I think some of the bills are being soft pedaled, and they shouldn't be. This is a serious issue that is coming up. So I don't know if I would agree, Commissioner Sicky, with saying that it'd be premature to act on a resolution at this time. I think we all have a reason why we are zoning commissioners, why we ran for office, what we want to do for our community, and to have that taken away from us is not a good idea. I think it would be important for us to go on the record to say, if you have any thoughts of doing this, it's not something that this particular commission, or at least X number of members of this commission, are in favor of. So there's been other commissions that have passed these resolutions. And I think that's our right to speak up and say, what are you doing here?
Yeah, I understand. I would just say that you mentioned it's serious, and I hope our resolution is then a serious one. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen any language, but this commission has, I think of late, and at least in the last year or year and a half, has talked about affordable housing and diversity of housing, and that's important. I don't recall, those conversations before then, but I welcome them, and we should be planful. I see Commissioners Parkins' face changing there, but I've been on since 2013. We rarely made plans for where affordable housing could go in developments, but I think in the last year or two, we have had a lot of conversations about a diversity of housing, and I think that's a good thing. But I think that we should have then, if the commission is taking up a resolution that is not prescribing to just saying no, or saying, give us, saying no, rather than what do we stand for, and what are the things that we want to advocate for at the local level. It's not enough to just say that we, stand against these bills. There might be some efforts in there. I know one of them, which is, I don't know the which bill this falls under, but one of them talks about an issue that we struggled with tonight for half an hour, which was just a model code, so that it can ease the burdens of some planning and zoning departments and looking for language and looking for model codes. So I know that this is a charged topic, and I'm not advocating for or against all these bills, because there are hundreds of them and it'll work its way through the process, but we need to be planful about affordable housing and about having a diverse array of housing in Shelton. And some of these pieces of legislation, which may never even come to reality, cover some of the things that we have already done. We have congregate settings, we have multifamily settings within the downtown, which is within our the mileage that one of these bills I understand talks about. Our main street, our downtown is Howe Ave. So we do some of the things. So I just hope that when there's a resolution that it really is serious and it does a service to this commission and to the city, and it doesn't just fall to some of these talking points that I've seen, which I think just don't do a service to the serious work that we carry out every day. And I do think that this commission here has been serious of late about asking applicants to incorporate a workforce housing and affordable housing and ways to have these sorts of diverse levels of housing. So that's been my experience on the commission. And if we're taking up a resolution, I just hope it's one that actually talks about what our aspirations are and what we want to see from the state, and not just, all in the negative.
Mhm. I think it is important to address this. I used to work for someone that had the philosophy is of, well, if there's a problem, you ignore it, it'll just go away. It doesn't always work that way. Yeah, the resolution would definitely be a serious resolution. And was there some other commissioner that was ready to speak up, or staff?
Well, it's a little late, frankly, this evening for me to come up with anything other than that I need to go out in the rain and lock up my chickens.
And get
So,
big
yeah, I hope we can just, I think, broaden out our perspective beyond some of these proposals, which, and I think kind of echoing what Jimmy has been saying, we don't really have a plan for affordable housing. We have been looking at it seriously for the first time, I think. And I think we're all on the same page, I believe, in understanding that housing is a problem, not just in Shelton, but statewide, in terms of, if we've learned anything this year, it's about how we've learned that essential workers are people that have kept us going and have difficulty affording housing, and that just doesn't seem right. So I would think any resolution we'd want to prepare would be more about what our plans are. And that might also be, looking for a role for the city to go beyond just what we're doing on planning and zoning.
Yeah, I want to remind everybody that we are under the time frame of a statute that by June of 2022, July of 2022, to adopt an affordable housing plan. This is something that staff did mention a couple of meetings ago, and they are working on it. So this is something that definitely will.
Bottom line is you can't have affordable housing unless you have diversity of housing. And it's been very hard to get diversity of housing unless you are planning for apartments downtown. And downtown is not the only place that there should be apartments. And that's been a major contention on this commission as well. So I'll just leave it at that.
All right. So anybody else before we move on? Okay. Commissioner Amato, you have anything from the downtown, the zoning subcommittee?
No.
Okay. Commissioner Kelly, downtown subcommittee.
Not at this time.
Staff comments, Mr. Rossetti.
Two quick items.
Sure.
One is Commissioner Wodomski raised some questions about the dumpsters behind the Woodside Plaza Diner. We've been in contact with the landowner there, and he said he will address the issue, and so we'll be following up on that. And the second item being the let me just pull up my calendar. The mayor would like to have a meeting with both our commission and the Inland Wetlands Commission to discuss the development of some property in town. Based off of, and a big point to that is he'd like to be in person for both commissions. The date I was looking at and talked about with the wetlands coordinator is potentially April 7th. I was wondering if the commissioners might be able to give a quick yes or no as to whether that might work for them in an appropriate time. I'm assuming evening, probably 5 o'clock or so.
Okay, April 7th is a Wednesday.
Correct.
What's this for?
This is for a meeting with the mayor to go over the development of some property in town. I don't want to go into too crazy of specifics because then I feel like I'm talking about something that would be on an agenda. So it would just be for that one item. So hopefully it would be relatively quick.
Okay, so this would be a special meeting
Correct.
with two commissions, ourselves and Inland Wetlands.
Correct.
Okay. So are commissioners able to check their calendars now to see if Wednesday,
April 7th, okay with me.
April 7th?
Okay with me.
Okay.
That should work.
Last Coast, that you, Commissioner Tiki, that should work?
That should work, yes.
Okay. Ruth?
The date works. I'm not so crazy about the location. So if I can stand in the back of the room, because I will not have had my second vaccination. So,
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we're going for our second the next day.
yeah, so I'm not comfortable doing the in-person.
Okay.
I will double check to see if there's a way we can have it remote. I'm skeptical of that.
I get it. I get it.
I will also, I assume that will also, the hybrid system will be set up. So that may be also be an option, but the mayor did ask if people were able to attend in person, if they could. So that is what it is. I know you guys are night owls, so I will try and make it a later meeting for you.
Let me just ask Commissioner Sal. How does that?
That day works for me.
Okay.
All right.
All right. So the only one missing is Commissioner Radomski.
So, okay. Stay tuned. We'll be sending out some updates for that. And I'll just turn it over to Ken if he has any comments, but I think that's it for me.
Yep. Mr. Nappi, you were next on my list.
Yes, I think it's appropriate within the next 2 months or so to give an update on the downtown development. We have some new projects that are entering your system, and we have a couple that were stalled that are going to be revised. So I think within the next 2 months that we should have a meeting where we have an update on the downtown project.
Okay, this would be part of one of our regular meeting agendas?
I guess it depends upon Alex and what we have to schedule for a meeting.
All right, so you'll let us know about that. Anything else, Mr. Nappi?
No, that's it.
Okay, could staff look into the empty lot to the right of Shelton Pizza? The food trucks are getting to be really unsightly. Now they have a freestanding barbecue.
Yeah, we have, just if Alex, if I can speak to that, we have Bernie going down there and meeting with them. I think it's tomorrow. We have checked all the permits, both from the Lower Naugatuck Valley Health Department and Police Department. But we'll keep an eye on making sure it's tidy.
Have you ever had a conversation with the landlord?
Yes, and in fact, that's due tomorrow also. That's Mr. Body, who has given us permission.
Okay, and wasn't that the lot that Mr. De Silva might have been using to put a
Yeah, he was given
trailer?
He was given permission.
Trailer, yeah.
There was no space to have a pre-construction or a construction point, so he was given permission by the owner to do that.
Okay. That's good. Yeah, I would think that Mr. De Silva would definitely want that property to look somewhat better if he has that building being finished in the next couple of months and he's got potential tenants, and who the heck wants to look out over Howe Avenue at this lot with food trucks scattered all over the place and just not looking very pleasant. Bianco?
Nothing at this time to report.
Okay. Next is approval of the February 24th, 2021 meeting minutes. Any commissioner have any change to the submitted minutes?
I make a motion to approve.
Okay.
Can I just ask, there's two versions. There's two versions of those minutes.
The
There's a
revised version.
Yeah. So would the other version come off the website? What do you do with that? I'm just
It
curious.
should.
Yeah.
Mr. Rossetti, would you look into that, please?
You usually wait to the meeting, and then if there's revisions, the revision takes precedent and it's filed with the town and city clerk's office.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so there was a motion to approve from Commissioner Parkins. Is there a second?
Second,
Second from Commissioner Kelly. So on the motion to approve the February 24th minutes from Commissioner Parkins, second by Commissioner Kelly. Commissioner Mato,
Aye.
Commissioner Laskos,
Aye.
Commissioner Tiki,
Aye.
Commissioner Parkins,
Aye.
Commissioner Kelly,
aye.
and chair votes aye. Motion passed 6-0. Just keep an eye out on the website for the March 9th, 2021 special meeting minutes. That will be coming up for review and approval. And from what I understand, seeing that there is no other item left on the agenda, I will declare that the meeting is now stands adjourned. Good night, everybody.
Everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Aye.
Aye.